What's up guys, this is Desm101 back for a quick video. As you see, we have my 3DO FZ1 model here, and in a previous video I did mention the modification to get a USB drive for the 3DO, and I went ahead and purchased that. And so what you see here is what I have installed, and fortunately the FZ1 version of the USB mod, which is an optical drive emulator, it was very easy to install. It comes with this red board, it comes with these extension ribbon cables that are real quick and easy to install, and it also comes with this, which is basically a template for you to cut out where to put the USB drive on the front faceplate. So over here I do have the original CD drive that I have removed with the shielding. So what you'll have to do is just simply get into the 3DO. There's 4 screws on the bottom, and once you open it you'll see this CD drive in there, and it'll be inside of this metal case right here with these bars locking it in there on these spots. So what you'll have to do is actually remove all the cover material and then unscrew this whole piece here, because what you're going to have to do is get in it from the underside to install this with some stack screws that have these little separator nuts that'll mount it at this exact height where you need it to be at. So yeah, that was a really quick and easy install. There wasn't any kind of soldering or anything needed. What you have to do though is go to that website, which I'll include a link for it, and you place an order, and you have to respond and pay via PayPal, and make sure that you send it as a gift, otherwise he won't process the order if it has like the protection on it, because I guess it charges extra. And then a couple weeks later and it'll show up, and it has some pretty bare bones instructions on how to use it, so I'll talk just a little bit more about the menu and everything. But as you can see, overall it was a really simple modification. There's the cut that I made. It's not perfect. I made a little tiny mistake with the Dremel. I feel bad about it. But you know, maybe I'll get like a 3D printed one or something like that made as a replacement. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. All you have to do now is plug in any kind of USB drive. You need ISO files, but you can use an external hard drive or thumbstick like this, or even flash media like SD card. So yeah, overall it's a pretty solid solution. Just got to find your ISOs or rip your ISOs from your 3DO collection, put them on the hard disk, and you're all set. So let's take a look at some of the menu and how it works. Alright, so this is what the file loader by MNEMO looks like, and it comes as a download that you can get from that link that I showed earlier. And here has some examples of the backups that you can load. And basically the way that it's set up is you can put your files directly into there, or you can organize them by folders, which I've done here. A and B will select the game or select the folder. There is no back button, you just have to go to the up folder command at the top, the dot dot, anytime you want to go back. So just make sure that you navigate using that way. The L and R triggers will page up and down through the list. So you can just make sure to get your ISO files onto your storage device, USB, and make sure that it's formatted FAT32. So let's check out some gameplay examples.
Our refueling drone is still
First
in the
up
air.
here we have
It's
Shockwave,
just ahead.
and I was playing this one just because it's one of those early 3DO titles that really seem to represent what
To
the
dock
system
with
was
the drone,
about.
simply
And I think it
fly
plays
under
pretty
it.
good. I think if I had this game at the time of launch, I would have played it a lot. And it's not too exciting to look at and too exciting to play nowadays, but in the context of when it was released, it seems like it's a pretty fun game. Performs pretty well, and the sequel plays pretty good too. Here is Syndicate. I remember I played this game on PC a long time ago in the late 90s. My family had a PC that we all shared, and it came with this game on a disc. It had some other, a CD that had some other games on it too, like Ultima. And it took me a while to get the hang of it, but this is a really interesting, complex, kind of like strategy type of game. It's almost like a mob strategy game where you're upgrading your crew and you're doing these really covert operations around cities, and sometimes it's politically motivated, or sometimes it's like related to trafficking and really interesting stuff. Alright, here's a pinball game for the 3DO. This is real pinball. Now, I'm always interested and a big fan of video pinball games, and this one's okay. It's not one that I had really heard about before, and it looks decent. It's kind of like pre-rendered graphics, but the gameplay is just really slow. The ball physics definitely leaves something to be desired, but still, it's a pretty curious game. And here's Battle Pinball, another pinball game for the system, which I was eager to try out. Has a pretty interesting intro here with some really choppy animation. Now, while that does look kind of like a low budget type of game at first glance, it's actually surprisingly fun. And I'm not sure why the bottom of the screen got cut off here. I had to convert the file to get it to work in my editing software, so I think it lost some of the resolution at the bottom. But the game is basically like a one-on-one pinball game where you pick a character that has a specific pinball table, you battle against another character that has their table, and depending on what points you hit and targets that you make, you're able to create distractions and do things like make the enemy's paddles smaller. Now, one that I wanted to check out was Doom, of course, and this is quite a notorious port for the 3DO. It doesn't play very well at all. It's in a small window and it's quite choppy. The controls are sluggish and delayed. Sometimes you'll be pressing the shoot button and it'll take like a second or so before it reacts. But the music is actually really good on this game, surprisingly. So as you can see, it's playing pretty well. I haven't encountered any issues really loading games. Very rarely do I have any kind of file confusion or any kind of loading errors. Now, I have read that there is supposed to be a way to get back to the menu without restarting the system using the eject button, but I haven't got it to work. I've tried holding down the eject button, and I've tried pressing it once and then holding it after that, and I haven't had any luck, so I always have to power cycle the 3DO to get it to go back to the menu. And then there's also the issue with discs. So that leads me to the next topic, which is the NVRAM. So you can save your NVRAM to the USB device and then manage it that way, and then conversely you can load it back to the 3DO. So you can see there at the bottom it gives you the commands to load and remove the NVRAM from the system, and you can see here in the example that was provided in that file, it has a Doom cheat that lets you play it in a larger full screen. So there's two screen resolutions that are actually missing from the regular Doom on the 3DO, And with some cheats enabled, you can create a save from the cheat, and it has these unlocked. So you can see here, this is the largest resolution. I think it's the 6th, which is basically full screen. It's really choppy. It's really the slowest one. But it's pretty interesting to see it running in that full screen mode on the 3DO. And just for testing it out, I also wanted to run it on the smallest screen to see how much smoother the playback was and how the gameplay changed if you ran it in that tiny window. And it does change dramatically. It's a shame we couldn't get a really good port here on the 3DO, which I think it was certainly capable of. I imagine that this development was probably rushed. But back to discs, you can see that in that NVRAM folder there was disk 2 saves. So I'm guessing that's how it works, is that it creates a save once you reach the end of a disk on any of the games, and then you use that NVRAM file on the 3DO for that specific game when you're loading the second disk, and it should accept it, let you continue. But I haven't tried it yet. Here's Total Eclipse. This is one of those early 3DO games that seemed like a pretty cool one to pick up. I think I remember seeing this one at a demo spot when I saw the 3DO at a local game shop when I was a kid. And yeah, it has some pretty nice graphics. You're seeing it captured through S-Video here. And when I play it, I like to plug it into my CRT television using the composite video. The game's okay, it's not bad, it's not really anything in-depth, it doesn't have a lot of complexity, but it's still a fun game to check out. And lastly, here is Psychic Detective. What would the 3DO be without its super weird FMV games? And this one really tops the list of really bizarre, weird FMV games. It's something like you can read people's minds and see life through their eyes. Then you're basically switching through these different characters, trying to figure out what you're supposed to do.
If I could predict the
Pretty weird, but pretty interesting and pretty hilarious to check out. So yeah, I do recommend trying out this 3DO mod. If you have an FZ1 model, it makes it that much easier, and it works pretty good.
No, I'm not the mind pirate.
And that's going to wrap it up for today, guys. Have a good one.
That your final offer?
Well, maybe after we can have another special lesson.
All right. Deal. No. What's Black Diamond?
Which makes me feel
Some
good.
missing necklace?
Yeah, everybody says so.
Oh, I miss the good times.
Monica, focus. Max wants to make you an offer.
To me?
Mirage Quest would like to handle your father's collection.
Which one?
His papers, research. Max Mirage will personally help you categorize.
We would do it together?
Whatever it takes.
Take your hands away!
God, I hate that woman.
Your father's lover?
Maybe. She had her claws into him deep enough.
Max is worried about people like her taking advantage. Here are the broad strokes of the proposal.
Maybe I should talk to Max.
Max sent me with a blank check and the authority to give you whatever kind of advance you'd like.
Advance? For what?
The donation of the Vladimir Posak collection to Mirage Quest.
Oh. Oh. I never heard anything so idiotic. What a quest.
You wouldn't understand.
A respectable institute.